The Mike and Tony Show is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey, this is Jose Francisco Espinosa, and you guys are listening to the Mike and Tony Show.
Episode 151.
Yeah.
We're past 150 now, brother. And we're in a different location today.
Yeah.
We're going to call it the secret studio.
Yeah, the secret studio.
I just decided that. How you been, Pierce? How's your week?
Good. Easy this week. Coming back from conference from the day gig, and so I was up in Steamboat. I saw your hat. Staying at the Steamboat Grand, and we were up there for a week, and that was nice. It was real nice up there. It's mud season, so there's like a barely anybody up there, right? So basically we had the whole hotel and everything to ourselves. But then I came back. Monday was crazy. Emails like crazy. And then it's been dead. Next week's end of term, so I'm gonna be real fucking busy forever.
Yeah.
For the next 2 weeks.
Speaking of money, dude, it has been raining like crazy nonstop.
Oh, I know.
I don't understand why I didn't fill up my cold plunge, bro. I was like waiting for it to, because it like rained all day. And I came home and like we have like planters and like different buckets and stuff in the backyard. They all collected tons of water.
Yeah.
Cold plunge looked the same.
Oh.
I don't get it.
It
Some
just
magic to it.
absorbs the rain.
I gotta say too, it is weird being like at an angle from you instead of across from you. Is this the first episode we've ever done that?
Yeah.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah, something different. For somebody different, dude, we have a great guest today. Duncan, thanks for being here on behalf of your band.
Yeah.
Relate. I like that it's got the period at the end of it.
Yeah, dude, it's a funny story with the period, man. Like when I started putting out music under the name, I think it was like 2020. I put out the first song, and this band from Germany hit me up. They're like, "Hey, you got to change the name." And like, you know, they're all doing like the music industry speak. They're like, you know, hit up your publisher, like change the name. I'm like, publisher? I don't know what that is, man. And I think they sent me an email, and so I just emailed
cease and desist.
Yeah, I was just like, sorry, bro. Like, it must be something on your end. So when I did the next record, I just put the period, and I was like,
there you go.
There you go.
Done.
Different now, yeah.
Yeah,
You're
I like
welcome,
it.
bro.
Well, it stands out too. It's easy. Just makes you remember it. And
Yeah.
when you Google it, you put the period on the end
Yeah.
of it too.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's how SEO works. You just add punctuation.
And for anybody listening, check the band out. Relate. It's Relate with a period at the end of it on Spotify, wherever you listen to your music. Go check it out. I've been listening to a lot of stuff. So did you? Let's back up. Let's start in the beginning. When did you? How old are you, buddy?
I had to think back. I'm 28.
28. And when did you start playing music?
I must have been like 10.
10.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was your first instrument?
It was guitar.
Guitar. Heck yeah. Electric? Acoustic?
Yeah, it was electric. My dad had an electric guitar, and like I never knew. Like my dad was not like the rocker type, right? Like, you know, he's kind of a military sort of style dude. You know, like growing up, like he was like, "You call me sir" and everything. He's a super sweet guy. He's great, you know. And but he'd always talk about his naval travels and everything all the time he did in the service. Man, you know, as an adult, I found out he did like half a year in the Navy to pay for college.
Oh.
You know, they put him on a ship. He went to Japan. He climbed a mountain. You know, he just didn't do anything.
I was telling some tall tales.
Yeah, but no, he had this guitar, and I was poking around his office one day, and you know, it's just I found it. I'm like, what's this? And I opened the case. I'm like, dude, there's a guitar here. Like, and I had no clue this whole time. Like, no one told me. So, I mean, yeah, that was probably the worst decision my parents ever made, was have a guitar in the house. But you know, like, I ended up okay.
Heck yeah, bro. And you got a killer voice.
Thanks, man.
We try to have people on who are doing interesting stuff out there.
Yeah.
And when I came across your band and saw you guys were here in Denver, I was definitely struck. Like, real talent. And then he was telling me when we were walking outside, when I walked outside and locked us both outside, and Pierce had to come get us. I was talking. What was I talking about? I just lost my train of thought.
You were an interesting story.
Oh yeah.
About
we both forgot our phones.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't going there. I was mentioned it on the side. Now all I was thinking about was how we got locked outside. Where was I going with that? Damn it! Let me think back for a second. Oh man, I lost it. Oh, you were talking about your dad played music. I don't know. It's gone. We got to let it go.
That's okay, man.
Yeah, that's one of those times you really regret telling somebody you're a stoner before the show. When you're like, I am not stoned now, I swear.
30 minutes later, it's going to be like, what? It's going to pop in his head. It's going to be like,
I'm not even sure that's a stoner thing. I think that just might be a existing thing.
Yeah, well, and I teach. Since I've been teaching, it happens every once in a while, and it is the worst because it's so hard to keep kids' attention. And then if you lose your train of thought for a second, they're gone immediately.
Well, then kids always distract you and shit. They're probably just
constantly. Mr. Dollar, Mr. Dollar, Mr. Dollar. So let's. So you started playing music a long ass time ago.
Yeah.
And it's a big part of who you are. You sing great. Did you ever take vocal lessons or anything like that?
No. I never anything like that. I mean, I joined the choir maybe like my sophomore year of high school, and like they were always. I remember auditioning, and the choir teacher, she looks at me. She was a sweet woman, and she looks at me, with just this kind of look of, oh, bless your heart. And she goes, I've never heard happy birthday in so many different keys. And, then my whole experience doing choir was just always singing too loud, just too aggressive. They're always like, you need to lighten up. I'm like, nah, man.
Oh, they're trying to cage you.
Yeah. So, but no, I never had any kind of like training or anything.
Oh, cool, man. I love that. And then you write songs, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, it's kind of funny for the past year or so, I mean, I kind of play a little bit of everything, and, by everything, I mean like classic rock and roll instruments, drums, singing, bass, guitar, the bass is just a guitar, man. That one's going to get some comments.
100%. It's going to get some comments.
No, but yeah, people ask me, they're like, well, what do you do? Like, what's your main instrument? I'm like, my main instrument is songwriting. Because
I love that.
It's a great cop out. Then I don't have to be like specifically good at any of the instruments. Mm-hmm. Then I can just be like, oh yeah, it's all about the song, man. Like that's the whole thing.
That's where I was going. Production. That's what I was
yeah.
Because we were talking about that walking out there that they self-produced all that stuff that we heard on Spotify.
Dope. Yeah.
Dope, right? It's so clean, man. Who does them? Who all participates in that? Is it literally just you or?
No. Yeah. When I say self-produced, like that is very much a collective effort. When we started this band, I got super lucky meeting the dudes, and I had met this guy, Diego. He's our drummer. I'd met him at a Menzinger show in like late 2021. And he mentioned to me, he's like, yeah, I play drums. I think the way we first met is I was there with my girlfriend at the time, and we met up with a friend of hers who brought his friend. And, like, I'm like quiet and awkward, I'm sitting there like, just like, this is weird. We're sitting at a table, punk rock band's playing. And the guy that's there, he's just like, I've never met him. I mean, I think he told me his name, but neither of us say much. And he goes, man, I'd love to play this stage again. And I'm like, oh dude, you're a rocker? And he's like, yeah, I play drums. I'm like, well, like I'm looking to put together a band. And he's like, cool, dude. Like, I'll send you some stuff. And we didn't talk for a while, as it goes, like as adults.
I forgot about it.
Like anytime you try to make plans with anyone, it's like, I can get you in between 7:45 and 8:45 next Thursday. But no, I met him, and he does a ton of production. Like he was just the dude to meet. So, I had this. The whole goal was just to make a record. I wanted to make a record that sounded super dope. And I'd had like somewhat of a background in audio engineering, never really doing it well, but like, I mean,
dabbling it here and there.
Yeah. I mean, if you just kind of tell people you do something, like they'll ask you to do it for them.
Do it.
You're like, I do it, like I didn't say I did it well, but no, we decided to do the record ourselves, and we did do drums in the studio. Any musicians know that's just the hardest part of recording something yourselves, is getting the drums. That takes some knowledge, takes a little bit of a room treatment. So we did those at Rusty Sun Audio in Parker. It's a studio owned by this dude, Nick Nodurft. I've worked on a couple things with him. Dope guy. But I mean, after that,
the drums are so good.
Yeah.
So good. Metronome?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
clean, bro. Everything, every level of the production just sounds so crisp and clear. I love even just the panning, just the way it's spread out. Like everything is so nice, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
That is all compliments of Diego.
Okay.
Yeah, he mixed it. We did have it mastered again by Nick, but I mean, we did all the production ourselves. Yeah, so we were really proud of it, actually. Like when we were done with it, we were like, dang. And we spent so much time in that recording process that afterwards, I mean, you just only hear the flaws. We put it out in January, and maybe a couple weeks ago, our guitarist Tom, he hits up like our Discord channel. He's like, I just listened to the EP for the first time. It's really good. We're all so sick of it. None of us even wanted to listen to it. But yeah, I mean, it was a really cool experience, and definitely one of those like building the airplane while you fly it sort of things.
That's pretty dope. So you've mentioned Tom, Diego, yourself, Duncan. What are the other members of the band as well?
So we've got Colin. He plays bass, and we've got Zach. He plays the guitar.
Okay.
And what is Diego and Tom?
Diego's the drummer?
Diego plays drums, and Tom plays guitar. Yeah.
Got it.
Tom was actually our original drummer. And, he was playing drums because, he put up a Craigslist ad, and me and Zach met first. And, I didn't even want to get like a band together. I'm like, look, bro, like, let's just go in the studio, make a record, put it on Spotify, collect our $7 in royalties for the year, and go get burritos. Like, but Zach brought up, he's like, well, let's find a drummer. So, I did what any person would do, went on Craigslist, and found Tom, and he drummed for us for a couple months until, he's a really good drummer, but like, he really is like, when you're a musician, like you kind of are one thing and then you can do the other things, and he's really a guitarist. And so I was like, well, man, like I know a dude that plays drums. And I think the first time we all got in a room together, it was just kind of like, yep, this is the combination.
Ooh,
that's nice.
Yeah.
One of those great moments.
Now, are you from Colorado?
I am. I grew up in the Springs.
Okay. So, and the rest of the band members?
Oh, man. Tom's from Ohio.
Okay.
Zach's from New York, Syracuse. Colin's from San Diego, and Diego grew up here, but I think he was actually born in Chile.
Okay. Yeah,
so we're all kind of from all over.
Nice. And I see you're playing at the Black Sheep.
Yeah, man, I love that venue. We played there in March, and that's like, I mean, like I grew up playing the Black Sheep, man. Like,
yep.
And you guys are from Colorado?
Yep, I am. Well, Dollar's from California, but
why couldn't you just let him assume?
There's nothing wrong with California, man.
I just love Colorado, dude. It's a joke, a running joke on the show. I wish I was a Colorado native, and so when people think I am, I just go with it.
Oh, well, how long you been out here?
Since 2004.
Oh, okay, you count, man. Like once you're here for like a decade, like it's cool.
I love this guy. He's definitely coming back.
Yeah. No, but you guys probably remember back when Soda Jerk Presents, they owned the Black Sheep, Marquee, and Summit Music Hall. So like that was just like the coolest thing to grow up with. I didn't even realize like how lucky we were to have that promotion company. But now they still own the Black Sheep, and like God, going down there is just awesome. It's like seeing all the people you've known forever. For me, I'm just like, this is sick.
I've been to the Black Sheep a lot, and the energy there definitely is awesome. Just that openness, that right there, the stage is there. Everyone's can participate, just hang out, and just they've seen Long Beach Double All Stars there probably like 4 or 5 times down there at the Black Sheep. But yeah,
dude, it's such a sick venue. I think my dad actually bought me my first bass guitar like at the pawn shop across the street from there. I remember like so clearly. It's one of those memories that just sticks out. Like I think I don't remember why. I had a guitar, but maybe I just started playing bass in the band or something. I was like 15, and so we go in this pawn shop, and there's it's like a cheap Fender Squire P bass, and I just will never forget. My dad's like, "All right, that's the one you want." He gives the dude like $100, and he's like, "Now, son, like you just remember, someone probably pawned this for meth." It's just like, Jesus, man. Like, is this your like stay away from drugs like speech, man? Like,
I'm just saying, if you're gonna pawn it again, get at least $100.
Wait till it appreciates in value.
Did you have projects before Relate?
Oh yeah. I've always been in a band. Like, it's like who I just like was growing up. I remember. I'd only really make friends with people because, I'd be like, I could probably teach them like enough guitar to like start a band with them.
Recruiting people.
But it wasn't until COVID that I didn't have that. Because I'd lived in Phoenix for a couple of years prior to COVID. So I moved back maybe it was October 2019, and I was working a ton, like Denver had gotten like a lot more expensive
yeah.
in the time I was gone. So I was like, well, gotta make some more money. And then COVID happens and I'm like, dang dude, like can't work 70 hours a week. Like no band. Like what do I do? Just like, so many people in the industry, like music industry were like that. And I mean, everyone, like COVID was rough for everyone.
Yep.
But, I mean, I feel like I made the right decision. I got a real estate license.
Oh, yeah.
Just like everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not a bad thing at all, though. And there's always that, that's always great investment. It's great to have those skills. Mine's doing that on the side now, too. Not
the
selling.
Originations, right?
Yeah.
The loan
right.
origination stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's personally
that was what I was saying before. My wife is in real estate, and so she does it on the side and for work.
Oh yeah, man. It's super fascinating industry. I mean, I was a terrible realtor. Like I don't even think I can say I was a realtor because I didn't pay the fee. Like, like you can get your license, you're a real estate agent.
Yeah.
But then it's like you have to pay the realtor association like
the
$800 like every year or something. And I was like, well, that's stupid. Like, what does it do? And, and the brokerage requires you do it. And, and I'm like, that's dumb. Why would I pay them? Like, what are they going to do for me? Nothing. I'm like, well, can I just not pay them and not call myself a realtor? No.
Wow.
It's like if doctors like they're just called general practitioners and then some associations like, hey, like to call yourself a doctor,
You have to pay us some money.
give us some money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, dude.
Pharmaceutical companies and
Oh man, big
connection.
pharma. I like you guys.
Well, it's like one of our good buddies, Bruce Leroy. He's in school to be anesthesiologist.
Oh, okay.
And so he came on here and he was talking about like the ins, the outs, and he's just like he goes, just talking about like how bad it can be for some doctors. And he's like, just remember, he goes, they go to school once for this. They don't have to re-up on their education at all, ever.
God, isn't that crazy, man?
It's wild. You get it, and it's for yours forever. I'm a doctor forever. I don't have to renew. There's new stuff out there. I don't care.
Meanwhile, new stuff is just constantly coming out.
Yeah,
Science
right?
is learning all these new things.
Oh my God, I mean, it's like one of those things but you never think about, right? Like you're like, man, like the doctor I see, like he probably hasn't like learned very much in the last 20 years. Yeah. Like he goes to conferences and stuff, but like he hasn't had to like pass a test or anything, has he?
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. So you guys perform here. You asked me the question before. Do you hit the road? Do you guys do any touring, anything like that?
Yeah, so we just got back from a run of West Coast shows. We went out to California and then we hit Phoenix. And then came back up through Colorado. We did that in like late March.
Okay.
That was sick. And and I feel like it's a big bonding moment for the band, the whole band. Like when we started the band, like no one was really talking about touring, like it was just kind of like, yeah, let's just play some gigs, make some music. But I think it was before our first show, like I had very much resigned myself to like, like playing in bands. That's the old me. I'm old now. I'm grown up. And, we probably practiced like 3 or 4 times. And I'm like, well, how much does a van cost? So, I ended up purchasing a brand new to me 2001 Ford E150.
Let's go, bro.
Only got 180,000 miles on it. And all those dudes, like they trusted the van enough to get in it and drive to California.
And it didn't let you down.
Well, I mean, it was sketchy, right? Like, I mean, like we get on I-70, my good buddy Joe Bruno, he's drummed in many bands I've been in, like he's driving us and, I'm sitting there and I'm just like, man, like I hope the van like is doing okay. Like I had it checked out. Like the dude said it was good. So I'm like, dude said it was good. I don't know anything about cars. Like, I mean, like, look at me, dude. Like I've got tattoos, like nose piercing and stuff. Like this does not scream auto mechanic. I trust people. And so we get on I-70 and we start going on the downgrade and like van starts shaking and not like a little bit,
Like,
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So that was the sketchiest like 17 hours of our lives getting out to California.
Holy
the ball
shit,
joints
bro.
are going bad, and yikes.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah, but like it was the rotors. That was the big thing. But it was hilarious. Like we get out there, we're in San Diego and, like our bassist is from there. Colin's from there. So he's like, hey man, like I've got a buddy, like he's a mechanic, like, he can get us in the shop like tomorrow. And, I'm like, all right, dude, like let's do it, man. Like I tried a couple other mechanics. Cause like we were in Ocean Beach and his buddy was in like Escondido.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's how you say it, but it was kind of far away, but like it all like crapped out. It was raining so much, like all the mechanics in Ocean Beach, like they were like working outside. I actually I talked to this dude down there. I'd made an appointment with him, take the van in, and he's like, yeah, man, like, it's raining. I can't work on your van today. He's a super nice guy though. He actually texted me like to make sure we got back to Denver okay.
That was good.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, dude. But no, we take it to Colin's buddy, and like, Colin didn't mention that like his buddy like works at like the premier like auto shop in Escondido. Like it's like this like imports and like exotic cars auto shop. Like this place is like big. It's like big shit, man. So like we get there and they're like, yeah, just pull up front. Like don't pull it into the lot. And I'm like, that's kind of weird, but like, I don't know what's going on. Okay. And so like get there, we meet his friend and his friend pulls the van in. He's like, hey, come inside guys. Like you want like a Monster or something or like a rock star. And like we go in there and like, I see the van pulled up like on like the jack, like in the giant garage, and like it's next to like a Lamborghini, like a GTR and everything. And I'm like, man, like these are the dudes to trust. Let me call the credit card company, see how much limit is left. But no, they took care of us. Like they got it all fixed up and we were good to go.
That's good.
Oh, hell yeah, bro. Highlight of the tour. What was how many shows did you play?
I think we played six or seven. So it's just like a short run. I mean, the highlight was Phoenix. Like, it's funny, like Phoenix isn't like, it's not necessarily somewhere you think of as like, whoa, this has like a dope happening like underground music scene, but it like really does.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh
really?
yeah,
Phoenix.
nice. Yeah, man. I mean, some of the
dope.
best bands are from Phoenix. Like, that's where Gin Blossoms are from. Jimmy Eat World, like the Main, and it's honestly it's kind of like mini LA. Like, it's such a cool little city. So like, we went out there. We actually played in Mesa. At the Nile Underground, which is like the Nile is this giant theater. Like it's like the size of like the Fillmore, independently owned. Like the woman who owns it, like she's booked bands I was in when I actually lived in Phoenix, and like just super cool people. But we played the little basement underneath there, and like it was wild, man. Like, God, so many people came out, and like it was every night on that tour too that like people were coming out and they're like, you guys are the band from TikTok. Like, I found you on TikTok. And I was like, dude, like, like all the guys thought it was crazy.
So cool.
Because, I've been on the internet, like making TikToks and stuff. I'm not very good at it, but like, I mean, just enough to be like a little dangerous. So we've had like some stuff like get viewed a lot and like get liked a lot. And then, the guys are like, oh man, Duncan's talking about the TikToks again. And then like every night, like 5 people coming up to the merch table, like, I found you guys on TikTok.
I was like, see?
I'm like, I told you guys, like, man, it's TikTok. Like, come on, let's get the dance going.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool, man. That's dope. So you do like, I guess TikTok is, see, that's the thing is video editing is like available to everybody now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's wild.
More so than ever. You can just put
your
stuff
phone
together.
is a mini studio, dude.
I know, bro.
Dude, it is crazy. I mean, like we live in the age of a democratization of all sorts of creative mediums that used to be inaccessible to the average Joe. Like, I mean, like we're sitting here, you've got a Focusrite 18i20, 3 microphones, video going. Like, think about trying to do this in 2004. Just think about it, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, when we first started the podcast, you want to tell them the
Oh yeah, I used to have when we first started, bro. We did this on a Korg D3200. It's like one of those like all in one. Remember those old like old, I don't know if So you're 28. What year were you born?
94.
94. Oh yeah. So you remember those probably.
Yep.
But no, dude, I was recording my first recordings, which I have. I sent one to you, didn't I? It's so bad, bro. So bad. But I was recording on a Tascam 4-track with a cassette tape.
Oh man.
Where it would like split the cassette into 4 tracks, and then if you overused it, they start to bleed into each other, and it's terrible.
But it was just funny because at the beginning of the podcast, when we'd bounce it down and get it ready, it'd take like 5-6 hours to bounce down. Like,
I know. It's so ridiculous.
Dude, yeah, it's wild, man.
now it's like instant.
Yeah, it's like moments.
Yeah.
Few moments.
No, and it's like the first time I recorded a band, like, I mean, I was recording my band because we needed pre-production for before we went in the studio, and like I had a MacBook and I had a mixer, like just like 2 microphones, it was like, well, let's figure it out, guys. Like, and I mean, and even then, like that was pretty inaccessible for, I mean, anyone. And like those recordings were terrible. But now, I mean, like,
Oh yeah.
you can make a full production record with like your computer, a couple SM57s and like a Focusrite.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about too, is like you don't even have to have like super treated rooms or anything. You don't have to have acoustic treatments everywhere.
No.
If you got good microphones and a lot of stuff you're doing line in, depending on what you're doing, it's so easy now, bro.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Which is why we're seeing the collapse of the old system,
Yeah.
you know, where you had to go through the gatekeepers and all this kind of stuff. Now you really can do it yourself. It's hard to figure out, though.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, oh, yeah, you can reach everybody. You can, but it's oversaturated. It's so crowded. There's just like so much stuff out there that you have to find a way to like find your voice. You're doing something right, though, because somehow I stumbled onto you randomly.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks. I mean, it wasn't a calculated effort until it became a calculated effort. I mean, like, I think in the last 5 months I've spent more time learning how social media algorithms work than I mean anything else really, like, which it's freaking nuts, man. And it's so cool too when you can like remove yourself from it and just like analyze it. Like you're just like, wait, so you mean that like TikTok, for instance, like when I got into TikTok, I had been spending money on Facebook and Instagram doing advertisements.
Yeah.
Which is something I'd done before, you know, like
Boosting.
really, boosting, doing
I
real
did that
estate.
too.
I mean, like that was always my question. I'm like, well, you know, like what is the conversion rate, right? You know, if I throw $100 at a Facebook ad, how many clicks am I going to get, and what kind of leads does that convert to? And the answer was always like, well, you might get one lead.
Yeah.
You might. And I was, you know, and you're just kind of like, oh, well, like, I guess like that's the only way to do it. And so everyone's just throwing piles of money at Facebook and Instagram. And I get on TikTok because we played with this band in late December. We played with this band called The Rare Occasion. And it was a show, like we didn't know who they were. But the guy that buys talent for the marquee, he hit us up. He's like, hey, like I need someone to open this show. Would you guys be down to open it? And, you know, it's sold out. And we're like, yeah, sure, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like
It's sold out. Hell yeah.
for sure. Yeah, we'll absolutely do it. And that's like our home venues, the Marquee. Like we love those dudes, love playing with them. I mean, the coolest venue in Denver, in my opinion, just sweet folks to work with. But, you know, after the show, I'm talking to the guy in the Rare Occasion. I'm like, you know, like I've never heard of you guys. Like this is crazy. Like you sold this room out. Like what happened? Like how'd you guys get to where you are now? He's like, well, man, like we put out a record in 2016 and then, you know, like nothing happened. And then like last year, some kid found it and made a sound on TikTok and bada bing, bada boom, here we are selling out like a US tour. And
Whoa.
I was like, okay, there's something here, man.
Yep.
But I mean, like it's crazy because the algorithm for TikTok is, I mean, it figures out who likes your stuff like exactly. I mean, down to like, I think the conversion rate that we've got on some of our stuff is like 20%.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah, dude. So like after that, I was just like, man, like I am into this, and not just TikTok, just like understanding how all that kind of stuff works.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
for
like,
sure.
and it's crazy when you think about it too. Like you're like, these companies have so much data on us that they can they know what we're thinking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Wow, man, it's so neat to hear. So you get really into stuff when you get into it. I can kind of sense that about you. Like you were talking about audio earlier. We were just talking about microphones, right? And you were describing yourself as like, you know, when you started off, like not really having a lot of experience and stuff, and sort of teaching yourself. But I mean, the stuff you were talking about, I've been doing audio production a long time too. I never heard somebody put the difference between those two types of microphones so eloquently. It was really, really good. So you get super into stuff when you get into it. Yes.
Oh, well, thanks, man. I mean, yeah, like I kind of have like a weird brain where, you know, I can't just take like, no, this is how you do it. I'm like, yeah, but why? You know, it's like when, like, I mean, you're a middle school teacher. I'm sure you hear all the time, like,
Why?
okay, but why?
Oh yeah.
So
I was that kid growing up too.
Oh yeah, I'm like, but why? And I definitely like kind of firmly believe when you understand something, then you understand but why, and then you can mess with but why. But that's like a personality thing.
Yeah, definitely. And do you apply that to like playing music too?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm a nerd about analyzing songs. Like I'll go off about like the littlest thing in a song, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing to ever happen. And like anyone I'm talking about it, they're like, Duncan, like it's just a song, man. They're just like they're just picking up into the chorus. I'm like, yeah, but the way that they do it, dude, like,
some little thing.
They repeat it, and then they do it on like the and of two instead of and of one the next time, and like, yeah, I go off.
Yeah. Who's your so who are your influences? Like maybe, and I know that changes sometimes throughout life, but like growing up, what'd you listen to, and like what are you into now?
Well, growing up, My first CD was Toys in the Attic by Aerosmith.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I think I was 5 when I got it. Like in hindsight, it's like not appropriate for kids, like at all.
Yeah, true.
But I mean, like I just thought it was cool. It sounded really good, and I remember the moment I decided, like I just want to make music. And this is so embarrassing. I've told very few people this, but I was listening to Coldplay as like a 9-year-old kid. I think The Speed of Sound had just come out, and like
nothing wrong with that.
I had spent the summer with my cousin that was like a little bit older than me, and she like showed us like VH1, like me and my siblings, and we're like, whoa, this is crazy. And so like I'm listening to like Coldplay, and I'm like, dude, this is so dope. Like I want to write songs. And so like
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I was into that. Like a lot of the really contemporary like rock and alternative of the time, like Coldplay, Foo Fighters. I think in Your Honor.
I was going to say, I heard there's a couple parts in some of those songs that I hear a little Foo Fighters. It feels a little, it's not an overwhelming, but it's because I'm like that too with songs. Like I love listening and just kind of hearing like where those influences are and hearing some of those things. And I would not say Foo Fighters was like something that really stuck out, but there was like 1 or 2 moments where I just felt like, oh yeah, that definitely feels like Foo Fighters.
Oh yeah. And I mean, like I'm not like a super fan of the Foo Fighters. Like In Your Honor was my first CD like I ever bought, like with my own money. I think I stole quarters from my brother to buy it, but it was my money after I took it from him. And it's just like that record opens with just such a guttural scream from Dave Grohl. Like even to this day, like listening back to it, I'm like, this is awesome. Granted, I do think the Foo Fighters are a great band. Out of their like 150 songs, they've really got like 5 that are just like absolutely on the money. Like this is a best song ever written.
Yeah. Very cool. And who do you listen to now? Like anybody recent?
Yeah. So I'm definitely like the kind of like niche, I don't know, like bands you've never heard of kind of guy. Cause it's so much of my life is listening to music. Like I curate a playlist. And the whole purpose behind that is to get dope music you've never heard like together in like a cohesive list. So I'm really blessed to be able to like find all these bands that not that many people have heard of. This past like week or two, I've been listening to this band called Like Roses from California. So cool. Like that like ignited something in me, like finding this band. They're like a smaller band. And then like I really like this band from Florida called Least. I love so many bands in Phoenix because I spent so much time there, but a lot of that kind of stuff. And then like on a completely opposite end, like I love Taylor Swift, Olivia Rodrigo, like Casey Musgraves, like that is the sauce. Yeah,
I'm sort of known for defending Taylor Swift.
Oh, she's great.
She gets a bad rap sometimes. People like to talk smack.
Well, you were talking about like you're like, oh, it's kind of embarrassing. I was listening to Coldplay. I always tease Dollar because he always said that too. He's like, it's kind of embarrassing. I like John Mayer.
Really, John Mayer? That's one.
Yeah, for me, and so I'm a little older than you too, so I grew up kind of in a different era. My number one influence was probably Pearl Jam growing up, and then when Sublime came along, to me I was on board for a long time.
Okay,
and that's what really got me into like reggae rock in the beginning, and then eventually just got into roots reggae and really really started following that whole thing. But yeah, so I mean, lots of influences.
Yeah, I think it's great to take influence from like everywhere. At least that's how I am. I mean, I've always said like a good song will like transcend a genre.
So on the album, real quick, are you playing? Who's playing lead, rhythm, that kind of stuff? Because it sounds like it's really layered. It sounds like
it is very layered. So Tom's playing more of like I guess what would traditionally be the rhythm part. I guess to like give it a little context, like I had written very rough demos for the record. So like when we all met, I was able to send everyone like a file that had like maybe one, if you were lucky, like 2 guitar parts in it that were very basic and some terribly programmed drums from Logic and like just some me screaming into a microphone with auto-tune. And I was like, yeah, this is the song, man. It's like what it sounds like, but like, can you make that part cool? And I think the first arrangement of the band, I was playing guitar. And so like, yeah, I was playing like rhythm guitar, and then Zach was playing, I guess what you would consider like the lead guitar.
A lot of times it doesn't fall into those exact.
No, yeah. But it's kind of a way of differentiating. Like he plays a lot of really textural kind of stuff. And like that became super like integral to our sound. I mean, I remember like the first time I met him, you know, I'm like, yeah, man, like I have this lead written. It kind of goes like blah, 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 blah. And he's like, cool. Like, what if it did this? And he does something I don't even like understand, but it like fit perfectly. And I'm like, yeah. What if it does that? Like, that is freaking dope. And then once Tom picked up the guitar, he like did the same thing, like where he was able to take, like I'd written like 3 chords or something. He's like, yeah, man, but like, what if this is like a riff? And like, what if there's like pinch harmonics and stuff? And I'm like, yeah, dude, like for sure. So like on the actual record, I played bass and I sang, but the Tom and Zach did all the guitar work. Diego did all the drum work.
Oh, pretty dope. Yeah, I was going to ask you because I was curious about your thoughts about John Mayer, like as a guitar player.
Well, like I haven't gotten that into John Mayer. That's like the thing. I mean, of course I know who John Mayer is. Like, I can think of his voice right now, but I've never really critically listened to any of his songs. Like I've seen him like playing some pretty licky guitar stuff.
You might not like it. You might not buy it, but do yourself a favor, in my opinion, and listen to the entire album Continuum from start to finish.
Continuum. Okay.
Great album. And not to mention, if you don't want to spend all that time, check out Neon, the acoustic live version.
Okay.
And to me, he blows me away. His voice is, you know, it is what it is. Like, I've never been super into his voice or anything, but his guitar playing and his songwriting, like, he's a master songwriter. And so to me, him, Taylor Swift, I see them sort of in the same light just because I love good songwriting and like people being able to really put stories together and put them in a way musically that just sounds so damn good. So John Mayer.
Oh no, I mean, I totally agree. Like that's what it's about, man. Like, and I'll stand in defense of Taylor Swift any day. Like, you get so many people, they're like, oh, like I hate Taylor Swift, like, blah, blah, it's so fake, blah, blah. I'm like, nah, man, like it's so good,
bro.
Like,
and she works so hard, dude. She sets a standard for professionalism. You know what I mean? Like the things that she's done, not missing shows and just being there and touring incessantly.
Oh yeah,
writing and holding herself to a high standard. Like, yeah.
The following is ridiculous. The
Swifties,
Swifties, man. Like I remember there was like I saw a reel on Instagram, and it was like the Taylor Swift concert just got out, and it was like in New York or something, and like it's on the subway, and these people are like, "Oh God, don't let him on! Don't let him on! Don't let him on!" Like, all of a sudden, the doors open,
it's an army,
and just an army of girls just walking in. They're all bright colors, pink sequins, like everywhere, and like these people are just on the subway, are just like, "Oh my God, look at this!" It's like,
that's so crazy.
Look at them.
How weird is it to be at that level, do you think? Like to be at that kind of like Taylor Swift or John Mayer or one of these people?
Man, I don't know. I mean, it's got to feel normal to them, but like, I mean, that's just because that is their normal. You know, we all go through so many different normals in our lives. You know, I'd assume it's like being a well-known person in really any industry, except your industry's primarily based around people, you know, knowing you really well, like on a more deep and intimate personal level. At least we'd hope, you know, that like everyone writes songs that are super deep and personal.
Yeah, that's another thing too, right? Because so many of like these artists have like teams, you know what I mean, of writers, and they're studying the market. And I mean, not the market, but they're studying like what sells with music. I got into a lot of that because I did licensing. I went to school for music licensing at one point.
Oh.
It was like really nerding out on that, but that kind of felt weird to me. It reminded me when you were talking about your choir experience. Like I just it feels very boxed in. And
it is.
It has an intention, you know, when you're doing the music that's not just like pure artistic expression or whatever.
Oh no, I get it. I mean, I've been in and out of college for like 6 years now. You know, I started going when I lived in Phoenix. I was maybe like 22, and I was trying to get into nursing school because that seemed like a really impenetrable field. Like it seemed like so much job security was there. And, you know, it just turned out I was like, my brain's not very sciencey or mathy. Yeah, it's not wired that way. But I had like a basis of like psychology credits. So when I moved back to Denver, I started going to CU for like a bachelor's in psychology. And somehow along the way, I convinced myself it made sense to pick up like a dual major in audio engineering. And so I was doing that for like the last semester or two. And it just kind of...
CU Denver?
Yeah, it's CU
Denver. They
got
a great program over there,
dude,
bro.
Yeah, the program is sick. Like, and the studios are freaking dope. But, you know, like I was taking like these classes, and I'm like, man, like this is such a weird way like to think about all this stuff. You know, like when you spend so much time like doing something and doing it wrong a lot, and like just like, trying to figure stuff out, like, in all of anything. But I mean, in music specifically, like, you're just like, wow, like, it's so weird to like break it down into like academic building blocks. So I had that similar experience taking like a music business class. I was like, this is weird. Yeah. It's cool, but it's weird. And then you learn all that stuff about like how royalties work, and you're like, this is weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very weird, and it's deep too, and like, and it's not what people think either. Like with songs, people don't realize, like, oh, he wrote that, but you don't realize that there can be multiple portions, and there's like the publisher side and the.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, it's a whole thing, and I wonder how long it's going to be until we see those laws rewritten, because it seems like to me, this is kind of my uneducated opinion, but I mean half educated. I dropped out of the music business class, I was busy, but
but there's formal education, and then there's if you're just into stuff, you can educate yourself these days.
But it seems like to me like the record labels got all of the laws written like in the 70s, right? Because they wanted to make more money, they wanted to stabilize the industry, and no one's really rewritten the laws very much since then. There's been some revisions, but
everything has changed.
Everything has changed now, so it wouldn't surprise me if in maybe the next 5-10 years we see like a complete like revision of how things work. I mean, we've seen that in the last 5 years. Like, this industry is crazy.
It's weird because legislation, the way we do legislation, cannot keep up with how fast technology moves.
Oh my God,
they're always behind the curve. There's nothing you can do. I'm curious your thoughts on like this weird new stuff that's happening with like AI and computers, where they're able to take like an artist's voice, write their own song, and then have Kanye West do your song or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, what are your thoughts on that? We're getting into such weird territory with that, I feel like.
Yeah, I actually first heard about that. It was like a month or two ago. There was the AI that wrote like a Nirvana song.
I haven't heard about this.
No, yeah. So this AI, like, I don't remember whose project it was, but like, I think it was some like PhD like program or something. I might be completely wrong, but anyway, it's this AI that some team designed. It analyzes like 30 to 60 songs by an artist, and then it will spit out its own new song.
Yeah,
and I think it's really cool. I wouldn't say it's dangerous at all. My question has really been like, if you were to pay like an AI to write music for you, who owns the copyright? And the answer is you own the copyright, because it would technically be a work for hire. But granted, I'm sure that if someone did that and the song started making tons of money, whoever made the AI might like be like, hey man, like you got to pay me my like mechanical royalties on that, or like something like that. But I mean, I think the AI stuff is super cool. I really wonder how it works. It seems overly simplified to me that you would feed it like an MP3 track. Like, I feel like for an AI to really do that, like you would have to feed it like multi-track stems for like every instrument and everything. But granted, I mean, there's so much that can just be like analyzed now by software. Like when you put your song in Spotify, like there's a software that analyzes it and automatically places it with stuff that it sounds like. So
yeah, good point.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I think the AI thing though is overblown. Like it's just like everyone's like, oh, like AI, like blah blah blah. And I'm like, I looked up like the definition of AI because I got like kind of into it like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, all AI is it's a piece of software that can continue to learn. So like, it learns and adjusts its behaviors to like get a result. So it's like that's not that scary, man. Like I don't think the AIs are going to become sentient or something.
Skynet.
Now, yeah.
What was cracking me up is about how you were saying like there's teams of people that do things now. Like a sketch that Funny or Die did a long time ago. It was John Mayer. And he had,
I remember
room
this.
full of people, and it was just like, all right, here we get this. Guy meets girl falls in love with a guy, like goes on in this whole thing. Like, and John Mayer's like looking at him. He's like, now let's just talk about like what regular people do. Like, how about we sing a song about how I fucked a supermodel and then I didn't call her the next day. It's like regular people stuff, and they were like. They all looked at each other, and like John, he's like, all right, cool, put it in. And they like left, and then like they all looked at each other and like, I don't even know a supermodel. Like,
yeah, that's so funny. He has a good sense of humor too about how much of a douche everybody kind of thinks of him as in general. I don't necessarily defend him as a person. I defend him as a musician.
I don't know anything about him. I mean, like,
It's been in the media a lot with a lot of weird.
I mean, I like what musician hasn't been in the media, man? Like,
Well, that's what we had a conversation before, separating the artist from the what do I want to say, dollar?
Separating the artist from the art.
Yeah, from
right,
the
the
art.
person from their art.
Like can you like a Kanye West song, but not like Kanye? And the same things.
But then what about extreme? Like there's so many people talk about Michael
R.
Jackson
Kelly or R. Kelly.
or R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends, right? Like, there's this thing that I've heard more and more of, where it's like, it's, I guess, the fans. I don't really like saying like fans, like people who support artists and they consume music. What I've heard from some of them is like, once the artist makes it, it's not theirs anymore; it's ours. And I think it is possible to absolutely separate the art from the artist, but it's like one of my favorite bands is a band called Brand New. Are you guys familiar
Yes.
with Brand New?
Oh,
Yep.
that is so funny. I was today trying to think of that band name. I got really into what was that acoustic album that they did? It was like all acoustic. Like it was acoustic versions of everything that they did.
I know what you're talking
And
about.
it was like an unplugged-ish kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was like live and stuff. And it was phenomenal fire. I fell in love with it. Haven't listened to it in probably at least 10, 15 years or something like that. Forgot all about it. And then when I heard your music, I was trying to think of that band. I was like, they definitely remind me. And it's Brand New, bro. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, I love Brand New. But it came out maybe it was like 5 or 6 years ago that the guy that sings in that band, like, he had been implicated in abusing minors and, like just all this weird kind of creepy stuff. And I mean, the band was just done after that. And they were one of the biggest bands in the scene. In a really interesting way. They never achieved like this mainstream thing like Fall Out Boy or like Paramore, but they were like the underground like big band. Like I saw them at Red Rocks like with like Modest Mouse. Like, they're huge. And it just comes out like that the dude's a total creep, and you're like, oh man, like that sucks. Like, can I listen to this band anymore? And I actively tried for a really long time to only listen to their vinyls and to buy their vinyls used if I didn't have them, and to like stream their music like in a way that they wouldn't get paid for it. Like I went through all sorts of hoops to listen to them, and like eventually it's just like what really sucks is, at least in bands, it's like one dude might do something kind of fucked up or really fucked up, but the band is multiple people, and that kind of thing just takes away from everyone. So I don't know. I think you can separate the art from the artist. It's
case by case. Maybe.
It's case by case, and then it's how you decide to support the artist financially after that, because that's really the only way that I think
you can separate it.
We can separate it is like, like you did something fucked up, man. Like, well, I'm not gonna give you money anymore. I might sing along to your song in the car. Yeah. It'll be the version of LimeWire, but I'm not giving you money anymore.
Oh my gosh. So it was funny because one of our very, very first guests, our second guest actually, Joe D, that was his band, Brand New. He loved Brand New.
Really?
Remember that we were talking about it, and he would always like sing it because we used to work together a long time ago in an office setting, and he used to like screamo. He loved screamo.
We used to tease him about Squisper.
So he used to love. He'd have his headphones in, and he'd just be working at the computer, but he wouldn't be full on screaming. He'd be like. Like we called it squispering. He was squispering, like screaming, so funny, whispering. Man. And so he loved that, and he always liked Brand New. And I was like, "What do you listen to?" He's like, "It's Brand New." I was like, "Okay, Brand New what?" That was the joke. I was like, "Brand New funny. What?" The whole dad joke thing. Like, "Brand New what?" No, it's Brand New. Yeah, I know. Brand New what? What kind of music is it? It's the band. You get frustrated. The band is Brand New.
Like literally, you're describing this like, and I am thinking of Office Space.
Yeah.
like who's the dude in the basement, like with the red stapler? Like
that's my stapler.
That's my stapler. But like no one's ever listening to him or anything.
Milton.
Yeah.
That is what the still trap memory.
I'm thinking of emo Milton right now. Like he's over. Squispering and everything. Yep. It's like, like, hey, would you listen
to? I can listen to my music at a reasonable level.
That's pretty good. That's pretty great. Good.
Yeah. No, how Dollar was saying, like Brand New and everything like that, when we were listening to the music and we were, together, and I was telling him, I was like, nah, dude, I was like, what I really think sounded to me like was Story of the Year.
Oh, okay.
I like Story of the Year and like kind of sounded like that to me a little bit of the stuff that was sounding like too. So
I could see that, like, and that's a band I never got super into. I've seen them live before. I think the first time I went to Warped Tour, they were playing. And if I'm kind of like remembering correctly, like they're kind of like a little bit heavier, but like it's very melodic, and they have a lot of like kind of dotted eighth guitar parts with delay and everything is sort of atmospheric.
Yep, and that's what Dollar was saying too. He's like, yeah, I can hear that part too. Yeah,
that band's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, like hearing what everyone like that has listened to us and given us feedback. Like they're like, oh, like you guys sound like this, like XYZ. Like someone told us we sound like Avenged Sevenfold, and I was like,
I was gonna ask you, what is the weirdest one that somebody ever said that you sounded like?
Oh man, the weirdest one.
Man, you guys sound like Ben Fold 5.
That's funny. That's funny. I think we got like a kind of Creed comparison once.
Oh,
no. Wow.
Yeah,
not even close.
But I mean, like Creed, like I'll take it, man. Like if anyone listens to it, like I don't really care what they say it sounds like. I mean, it's interesting to me, but I'm like, you listen to it, like that is so cool.
Well, and so much of it is people's musical perspective. You might be talking to somebody he's never listened to anything but, whatever, John Denver. Like, that's his thing. But one time he did hear this rock band we got kind of into was Creed, and you guys are rock. Sometimes it can just be a perspective of an individual person, like what they normally listen to and how they relate to it. Man, that is, I still am thinking about all the layering and the production. Like you were talking about, I can't remember what you just called it, like the pinch harmonics or something to that effect. Yeah. There's so many of those little things in there, which is why I can hear how long you guys must have just gone over and over and really listened and layered. Did you kind of have an idea where you were going, or did it just or I guess it depends on the recording probably.
Well, like I think in my head, like when we were first entering production, like we had done pre-production, and like the guys, we didn't know each other very long, but I can remember they're like, oh cool, so like we're recording today. I'm like, no dude, like we're gonna record everything and we're gonna double it, and then we're gonna do it again. And they're like, what? Why? I'm like, it's called pre-production. Granted, I've been known to go like a little too far in pre-production, but that's so much of my background was like being in bands where we had to go in the studio and we had 2 days.
Yeah, that's the worst.
That was it. Like, and it's like, we don't have any more money. Yeah. Like, so we got to show up and like, boom, boom, good to go. What do we want to do? But no, like we were doing the record, and we had a good amount of time to play together before recording everything. I think we had been playing together for maybe like 4 or 5 months, and it just was very natural. It was really, everyone kind of came up with ideas on the spot, and then we'd put it down and be like, does this fit? Does this sound good? I mean, Tom and Zach are insane guitarists. Like, and I love watching them interact, because it's like watching two people speak French. Like, I mean, like I play the guitar, like, yeah, dude, like, sure. Like I'll bust out some chords. Like, I know like a little Van Halen, but like, I don't play the guitar like that. Like these dudes, it's another level. So they're very, I mean, you can get them together in a room for 5 minutes. They'll have like harmonies figured out that like do all sorts of weird stuff, like with like music theory and everything. And like they work super well together. So it was a lot of that, a lot of like laying down one part and then another part. And then, Diego also taking the kind of lead share on like production. Like he would just be like, well, what if like, you threw like a minor third under like that there, like, just that one note though, like you don't have to play the whole riff, just that one note. So I don't know how many guitar tracks he ended up with. I know.
And then you do count that as a track if he's got 2 or 3 notes here and there, you know what I mean? Like
it depends,
probably so many.
Depends who you're asking, like,
yeah, that's incredible though.
But I mean, the sessions were pretty big, and I did vocals, mostly by myself. Like I think Diego did one session with me, but like I recorded them almost by myself. And like now when I'm recording bands, like I always open up like those files and like try to kind of give them like a rundown on vocal production. I'm like, look, man, like you see this file here? Like there's 12 of me in there. Like that's how like vocal production is. Like it's only like 3 parts or even like 2 parts, but like there's just so many layers.
Multiple takes and layering them splicing them together.
Oh yeah, like doubles, triples, quads. I think one of the songs has 7
does
tracks. Anybody
else in the band sing backup vocals, or is that all you?
No, it's all me on the recording.
Awesome.
Like we might like as we've like kind of gone more and more, like there's some of the parts like the other dudes will pick up like live, and it's a really cool dichotomy. Like cool. Like I really love like getting to parts of some of the songs, and it's like there will be kind of like a part that's like a backup vocal, and like I step back from the mic, and like both like Tom and like Colin and Zach, they just like scream out like some words. I'm like, this is so cool. So like
That
punk
is
rock,
dope.
dude. Don't even have microphones. They're just like, it's like they're just on the stage, they scream it out. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Hell yeah.
That was cool.
Best moment on stage.
Best moment on stage. Yeah, this is a good one, man. Like, I would have to say there's really like two that I absolutely love. We played a show at Globe Hall up in like in Globeville when we put out our EP, and it was such a good show. There was like 3 other bands on it. We're all super good homies, and we played second. And so the band that played after us, this band called Magnolia Grove, they got stuck in an Airstream. So the green room at Globe Hall is like, it's an Airstream, like an old 60s like Airstream RV sort of thing.
Okay, yeah.
And so that's in like their like kind of back patio area. And so Magnolia Grove's supposed to go on right after us, and they get stuck in this Airstream. Like they can't get out of it.
Oh my God.
And yeah, and so we get like halfway through our set, like, and I had found out like right before we went on, like they're like, yo, Magnolia Grove's stuck in the Airstream. I have video footage of it. Like I mean, that's
wild.
It's one of those things that happens like where, you know, like when it first happens, you're like, oh, this is so funny. Like you're not really thinking about like, you know, like, oh, what if they can't get out? Like you're just like, oh, the door must be stuck like a little bit, and like we'll get them out if we pull hard enough. No, dude, that's not what happened, man. Like they get stuck in there like 15 minutes before our set, and like we start playing, they're still stuck in there. And
how long were you supposed to play?
We were supposed to play for like 30 minutes. And so like halfway through, one of the dudes from another band like comes on stage. He's like, hey man, like you guys need to play longer. And I'm just like standing there. Like, I mean, this room is sold out. There's like 300 people in there. And like, I'm standing there on stage. I feel like really awkward talking on stage. Like if I have to sing, that's fine. But like talking is another thing. And so like, I'm just standing there, man. And like, I go up to the microphone and I'm just like, so Magnolia Grove's stuck in an Airstream out back, you know, like they've called in like an emergency person to like come open the door, like an Airstream door specialist.
Where do you find that guy?
Yeah, and we're just stalling like as much as we can because we're like, we don't have more songs. And luckily they got out like right when we played our last song. Yeah. But man, that was just absolutely hilarious. And the other one is, it's this show I was telling you about. We played with this band, The Rare Occasion, and their fan base is very young. You know, it's all kids like in high school.
Okay.
And so we're playing at the Marquee, and you know, I look out at the room full of young impressionable minds, and I say to them all, I'm like, yo, like who plays music? Like, do any of you guys play instruments? And you know, all these kids like, oh my God, yeah, like I play an instrument. They're all raising their hands, and I'm like, who wants to start a band? You know, they're all raising their hands, and I'm like, all right, like go look around. Y'all want to start bands? Like, and then I say like, you know, like me and Diego back here, like we met over there, and like it's like a year later, dude, and we're like doing this band. Like it's crazy. Just like talk to each other, see if you like want to jam or whatever. You know, I'm trying to be like inspirational and everything. And after the show, it became a joke. Like Diego says as we get off stage, he's like, "Wow, I didn't realize I was a founding member." And like the other dudes are like, oh, okay. Like I see how it is. Duncan and Diego founded the band. You know, he was the last edition. I mean, we all met like kind of in close succession, but I always thought that was hilarious.
That is pretty good. Now, audio production, all that stuff. You have a video that was just recently came out, right? The Pink Price.
Oh, Pink Prince Daddy T. Yeah.
Prince Daddy T.
I think that might be my favorite song, by the way. Of your
Thanks, man. Yeah, that's the feedback we got. That song wasn't supposed to be on the record, but
I love stories like that.
So who did the production on that, on the video and everything like that? Was that here local and all that stuff?
That was that was Van. He runs a studio called B-Normous. It's like he's like an hour away, one of the cities in North Colorado, and you know I've become good friends with him since we did that, and he is the coolest dude. Cool. Like he actually hit us up to see if we wanted to record with him, and we do all that kind of our own way in house. And so I'm like, oh no, dude, like, but you don't happen to do video, do you? He's like, oh, I do video.
Okay.
And so like, we met up one day and he shot the whole video, and like video is such a foreign thing to me. I think Tom actually screenplayed it. So he had made the whole storyboard. The storyboard. Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah, storyboard. And, that was really fun to do. It was the second video we all did together, and it was our first kind of attempt at doing like a more storyline thing.
Yeah.
And like, it was awesome. And we put it out maybe a month ago. I think we actually put it out the day we were in the studio tracking drums for a full length record. So that was like, it was weird because like we had all this stuff going on. Like we just got back from tour. Like this video's coming out. Like I didn't even upload it to YouTube that like the day before. Like, and I'm like, oh crap, I gotta put this on the internet. But it's so weird to like see like you put something out and then people are receptive to it.
Oh yeah,
that blows my mind. Like that anyone watched it, I'm just like,
cool. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, stuff. It's good stuff, man. Everything that you do is good stuff.
No, thanks, man.
What are you most passionate about in your life? Is it music? Is that your number one passion, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. Like, and it's not even like just music. I think it's so much around like the community that is DIY, like music and songwriting and touring. It's like this whole kind of idea, sort of like we were talking about with making video or like recording anything now. It's like anyone can do it.
Yeah.
Like from where I'm sitting, I'm just like, dude, like if you want to write songs, like if you feel this way about music, like you can.
Yeah.
The tools are all there. Like go like live your passion or your dream. Like that's super cool to me. So like I love just being involved in that any way I can and supporting that any way I can with more of the creative pursuits for sure. Like art, music, video, like whatever it is. So a lot of the stuff I do is kind of based around building those communities and trying to participate in them, talking to other songwriters. And
that's dope.
That's like, yeah, it's kind of the thing. And it's especially like a strong bond among DIY touring bands. There's so many like unspoken rules of like how you treat other bands that are on the road. And like, and they're all good rules. Like, if a band comes in from out of town, and they're playing like a bill with local bands, like you always have that band play second or third in the lineup if you have like 4 bands or 5 bands, because they're not gonna have a fan base like in town.
Sure.
They might have a couple people come out usually, but like you want to get them the most exposure that they can. And like it seems like such a simple thing, but I didn't know that until I was,
out there.
Yeah, well, not even until I was out there. I got so lucky to play in some bands in Colorado Springs when I was like 18, 19, where these dudes were all older than me, like DIY touring dudes, and they just exposed me to so much of that stuff that like it became second nature. But it's weird, like I've have some friends that have made like content like on the internet like about this kind of thing, like, like these are kind of the do's and don'ts of like how to treat touring bands, and I was like, man, like I didn't realize everyone didn't know that. Like it just turned out like I got exposed to a community really young, which I'm like forever very grateful for.
That's dope, dude. I love the idea of community being behind all of it and like people helping each other out, and because those times are ending, right? Like back in the day when there's just like gatekeepers and there's only so many positions and there's only so many bands that are having like tons of success, and now you can reach everybody. So, and then also you can build communities both, in certain areas, but then also through the internet. I mean, you can work with people. I know when I was doing licensing school, it was like we could record back and forth. We're sending each other just stems and working on stuff together, and they're in a totally different city. So there's that too. It's just cool. I feel like it's cooler than ever. And it's funny for me because I played music for so many years, and then I'm kind of in that phase now where I've moved away. Like I always write songs. It's just part of like kind of who I am. But like getting out and playing and stuff, I'm like, man, this shit is changing quick right now. And like just being able to see like how easy it is for people, not only to have access to the equipment and stuff, but you can also teach yourself online. Yep. And then you can connect with people like all over the world. You can literally record songs with people in other places. It's a fucking dope time to be a musician, man.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's wild, dude. Like, and we technically did most of the album like remotely.
Really?
Yeah, I recorded bass and vocals at my house. Like, Diego did the drums, and then they did guitars together. Him and Zach and Tom did, and then I just did bass and like did vocals. Like, there was one time that we were in a room together, like tracking, and then. That was it. I think we maybe did like the main 2 tracks for like one song.
Makes me think like our physical studios going away, you know what I mean? Or at least becoming way less important.
It depends, like, because this is a topic that I'm so interested in. But we saw like okay, so when I was like 20, there was this guy that reached out to me and the singer of the band I was in at the time, and he offered us a tour of like this studio in Boulder. And so I guess the thing was, I don't remember what it was called, but like it was some sort of music production school. This studio was dope. The building used to be owned by Sony. Like it was it was like this giant like state of the art studio, and Sony sold it to this production school, and like he's all like talking it up and everything, and we're like, wow, this is really cool. I think like I had just done the first record that I'd recorded. It's very bad. I think I used like an SM58 and SM57 out of phase as overhead mics for the drums. Well, that's how you learn, man. That's how you learn about that. That's a really big lesson on phase correction. Like that sucked to fix, but no, but like I just remember thinking at the time, like, wow, there's this huge barrier to entry to making a professional record. And then throughout, like my 20s, like it felt like going to the studio every year would become something that like I would go to a simpler studio or a less professional studio, and the product was better. Like, like I did a record in 2016 in a pretty nice studio in Colorado Springs, like a really nice studio in Colorado Springs, and like sounded okay. Like we weren't stoked about it. And then a couple years after that, I did a record in like a small studio in Phoenix, and like this place was kind of like a hole in the wall, but it was kind of well kept secret. And I mean, it wasn't like dingy by any means. It was just a small spot. You wouldn't think that these records that sounded massive came out of there. It sounded great. Like we were like, wow, this is really good. And then I started recording with Nick, and like, I mean, Nick has his studio in his basement. Yeah. It's treated. I mean, like this is a nice studio, but like I was just blown away with how good it sounds. So I think that studios are not necessarily going away. I do think people are
evolving.
They're evolving, and I think we're becoming privy to just how much we can do like at home, and to the idea that like it's almost baseline for anyone to be able to get like good sounds. So now the question's more of like, who do you want to work with on a production level? Like who do you want like in on making the music with you? And I think that's really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, that was one of the big mistakes I made when I was in music, and I used to talk about it, was that I was just like a one-man band. You know what I mean? I did everything from start to finish, writing the first notes and recording everything, producing everything. And you lose something. I really do. I think you're missing out on something when you don't have multiple people in on the project. And sometimes it's even people that are not musicians. Sometimes they can be in there that have specialties or like are really good at certain things. And just the more the merrier. So I think, and that comes across in your album when I hear, or I say your album, but like all the different releases I heard listening to it, you can hear there's a lot of people contributing here.
Oh yeah, and I mean, on a like who I am level, like I mean, I was always a terrible musician, and I consider myself to be like so lucky to have had the opportunity to work with and be in bands with and write music with just some of the most talented people that I consider like in the whole entire like music world. And like, I mean, every single piece of like my writing now has been touched by people that like I've worked with. So it's like, like, I mean, it makes sense for me to go back and be like, yeah, like I write this way, or I use like this chord voicing because of, XYZ dude that I was in a band with. And like, I think that is cooler than anything. That like, as musicians, like you create such an intimate bond with each other that like pieces of your creative process break off onto like each other, and you start creating differently. I mean, like in our band now, like everyone writes, and like our drummer Diego, like he has written, I think 2 or 3 of our new songs. Okay. Like, I mean, like the guitar parts and everything too. And like when we're all like together and we're like going over stuff, like revising stuff and like learning songs, like he'll be like, yeah, I wrote this part like thinking about like how you play, Tom, like, and I thought you'd like, like this.
See, that's the best.
And that's like the thing where you can like become intuitive to like how each other works, and like you start to take just like little parts. So like, yeah, man, like I am with you. That is like the cool part about music, is like the more the merrier. Like let's all like make something good. Granted, like the more the merrier, like that's with a grain of salt. Like you still gotta have like the songwriters like and the artists like being the artists. You don't want like the corporate dudes being like, yo, this is 15 seconds to take off on TikTok, man. Like write the song around that.
Too many cooks in the kitchen. Yeah. Or like, and that's the other thing too, is the vibe. with people. You can hear it. It comes across in the music. Like if people, like I've been in bands where literally there was beef within the band, you know, like people didn't like each other, they didn't get along or whatever, egos were clashing and things like that. And that comes across in the music. I mean, it's such an integral part of it when you are collaborating with other people that you're jiving. We all think of stuff like, you know, like what our influences are and does our musically do we work together? But so much of it's bigger than that. It's like personalities and like how you get along with people comes across so much in the music.
No, it's an energy. That's what you're trying to create. I mean, like, music can be defined as 12 notes, like placed within like a certain rhythm at like a certain tempo, but it's so much more than that. Yeah. I mean, like you're creating an energy, a moment, you're like capturing an emotion and putting it on display. And I agree with you. Like that stuff all comes through. I mean,
and I love that everybody can have their own interpretations too. That was growing up listening to Pearl Jam, like I said. I remember hearing Eddie Vedder say that in an interview one time where he just didn't like talking about the specifics of where the songs came from. Yeah. Because he felt like he's tainting or like influencing people's perception and people's like their own, whatever they get out of the song, you know?
Oh, that's cool. I've never thought about it that way.
Huh.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things too, because it's like a lot of things when you create them, you put them out there, and then they just sort of have their a life of their own. Yeah, which only happens with other people. You know, music is definitely a communal by nature. I think.
You know, we should ask him, Dollar.
Oh, of course.
It's our question we ask every guest. Okay, you're on a tropical island. You have everything you need to live a long, happy life. You have a way to play music, but when you crash landed on your tropical island, you only safely. When you only had one album with you to play for the rest of your life, what album was that?
Oh man, this is the hardest question I've ever heard.
It is. It always is the hardest. So while you're thinking about it, we'll tell you ours. Dollar's over here was
Bob Marley, "Catch a Fire," 1973,
and then mine was Earth, Wind and Fire, "Gratitude." Same year, or 1973.
1973. But we've heard lots of different answers, and it stumps everybody immediately. Just kind of like, I don't know.
One album.
Because there's so many things to think about too. It's not just like your favorite album, but like something that you feel like you could listen to over and over and over, and it just doesn't get old.
It is hard.
It's a hard question. And then nowadays too, you find not everybody listens to
compilations,
albums. Because we're like old dudes. So
I listen to albums. I very much believe in the art of an album. Like
hell yes.
You know, it would probably be a 1975 album. Yeah. The second one they did. It's like I like it when you sleep because you're so unaware and so beautiful or something. The title is too long for me to remember. But I only started like playing music again because of the 1975. I'd seen them before, but like I think there's a difference between like you hear a song for the first time, you listen to a song for the first time, like, and you can like hear songs for years and never actually listen to them. But that's like how I felt about the 1975. And there's just such a diversity in their sound that I feel like you can really listen over and over again and pick something new out.
All right.
Oh yeah.
That's definitely an answer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's solid. We've had a couple of overlaps, but that's definitely the first time we ever heard that one. I kind of want to put an extension on that question.
Okay.
I've been thinking about what 5 people would you bring with you on a desert island? If you were stuck on a desert island, you could only take 5 people with you. You got your album now, but who are the 5 people in your life you think you would take?
Oh man.
As it goes on, the questions get harder. So
yeah. I'm like, dang, dude, is this like? Hold on, is this therapy? The 5 people I take with me. Shit, dude.
What about you, Pierce? Too, you can pitch in so we don't just keep this guy on like super hot pressure.
My family. So my girls. Yeah. I have a 9-year-old daughter and my wife. I bring Tony Dollar with me.
Yeah.
So that's 3 right there. I'd probably bring my grandmother. Mm-hmm. Bring my grandmother. Does animals count too? Because I got to bring my big baby Duchess, man.
No,
big dog.
You could. No. I mean, you can bring.
Okay.
Pets are unlimited. You can bring whatever.
Pets are unlimited.
I don't know. I just made that.
Whoa, dude!
This island is wild.
This island
is wild. Grandmother, one more. Who else? It doesn't have to be anybody I know. It just can be whoever.
Yeah, whoever.
Grant Hill's coming with me.
You find out you don't get along at all. Stuck with them.
Oh, it doesn't have to be people you know. Can they be from like? Do they have to be alive right now? Like,
this is the first time I've ever asked this question.
Different
so
timelines?
We can
Yeah,
make it
different
what we
timelines.
want. Whatever you
now
want.
we just messed it up because now it's way open.
Yeah, it's way open. I'm gonna keep mine simple. Mine's easy because so I have 3 kids and my wife, so that's right there, and then Pierce.
There you go. $5 in me.
Yeah. I'm out of people.
Man, I'd probably take like it would probably be something like you guys know who Leo Szilard is, or Szilard, like the nuclear physicist from like the 1940s.
It sounds familiar, but I don't know.
Yeah, he was one of the dudes that like he was kind of like a founder of like the Manhattan Project.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. Okay, the Hungarian German American physicist and inventor.
Yeah.
See, he's trying to get off the island already. He's thinking that physicist is like,
See, man, I'm here, man. Like,
You
I'm
really
trying-
opened
trying
this
to get off
question
the-
up, Pierce.
Trying to get off the island, man. Like, we're probably that dude, you know. Like, God, it's a hard question.
Yeah, it is, especially now that we opened it up like that, because then you start thinking strategies.
I'd probably take like my sister. You know, I love my sister. My dog. Like,
Younger or older sister?
she's younger than me.
Okay, cool.
But like, like my friends say that she looks like, like the boy version of me, and her friends say that I look like, the boy version of her. No, wait, she looks like the girl version of me. See,
Yeah.
it gets messed up in my head, man. Like, messed up in my head. Yeah, I'd probably take, just like I always hate calling out like people, but a couple key friends. I have to have Zach with me. Like, Zach plays guitar in the band. Like,
I was wondering if musicians were going to be in there, because you got to have somebody to play with.
not
right?
even like musically. I mean, like, of course we jam, but like, he's the funniest dude I know. Like, dude,
Humor's so important.
that's the thing. Like, he's just on another level. Like we're in Phoenix, and it's like 4 a.m. We're like 100 miles outside of Phoenix, and we stop. I'm driving the van, and we had a dude with us that was driving. We get out so like we can swap, because we had a studio session like in like 6 hours. We're trying to get to Phoenix, get a couple hours of sleep, and then go jam. But like, we stop at this rest stop, get out, me and my buddy Joe, who's driving us, we get out of the van to go take a leak, and then we come back, and like Zach had been sitting in the back seat, and he gets out, and he's just standing there in this truck stop parking lot, like, and he's like, man, like, like, it's pretty uncomfortable back there. And, I'm about to get in the passenger seat. Joe's going to drive, we're going to make it. And, Zach's been sleeping in the back, like, all night. And he just looks at the passenger seat. He's like, I wonder what this feels like. He gets in, like, locks the door, takes my seat, and just falls asleep. Like, earphones in, like, thing on. I'm like, geez, dude, that was brutal. It's funny. It was his birthday, but,
Gotta have,
dude I know.
Gotta have funny people in your life, Pierce. So what's coming next? What are you gonna? You got anything in the works, album wise, tour wise? What are you thinking?
Yeah. So, oh man, like in my head, like I was like, oh man, like, can I talk about this? And then I'm like, yeah, I can talk about this. Like, no one says we can't talk about this.
Yeah, we eliminated those guys.
Yeah, it's so funny, dude. I'm like I always say that, like, oh, like our label says, like, blah blah blah, like. We are the label. Like,
Hell
what do you mean, dude?
yeah,
It's so
bro.
funny.
Yes.
But no, like we just did drums for an album. So we've got 10 songs.
oh, nice.
Oh, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's wild. It's the first time any of us have done a full length. I think Diego might have done. He's done a full length before, but we're working on that right now, and then we're playing Colorado Springs on the 29th, and then when does this come out?
This will be out this weekend, so probably
Tomorrow?
Like tomorrow.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter.
which is the 13th, May 13th is tomorrow.
We're playing the Marquee on the 27th.
Okay.
So like that'll be cool. So it's a Saturday, and that's with Scary Kids Scaring Kids. If you guys are familiar with them, they're like a emo band from back in the day. But that'll be a really cool show.
Okay.
And then we're just taking the summer to finish recording, and then we're gonna head off on another. Oh no, you were right, man. The phone died. And
Literally fell over.
and then we're gonna head off on another West Coast run of shows.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's kind of it. I think I'm trying to figure out how to like get the touring thing to work like in a logical sense. Like it doesn't make sense for like guys that are like adults with jobs and stuff to like go on the road for 6 weeks, like, and live in a van. You know, like it's like it doesn't make sense. So like we're more like in the kind of doing 7 days, 10 days, like pockets of time.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. You can definitely still build followings that way.
Oh yeah.
Set things up. That's pretty dope. How what's the best way for listeners that like your fans and stuff like that? I know you don't like that word, and when you said that, I was kind of like, huh? But it makes sense when you think about that. It's really the relationship between the people listening to the music and the people creating the music. But how can people best support you and support Relate?
Well, it's funny, like the thing that like I've said since we put out the record is like, you know, if you would like to support us, the best way to do it is listening to our music and sharing it with your friends. You know, like
Hell yeah.
That's the thing. Now, like, granted, like going back to the whole I was a realtor for a minute, you know, I learned a lot of things, man. Like in our industry, what we're trying to do is we're trying to close the deal, right? So closing the deal for us is you come to a show and you buy a t-shirt.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And we get your email address, and then we can remarket to you for the next show when we print a new t-shirt and you come buy another t-shirt.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Merchandising.
No, but I mean, in all seriousness, it's listening to the music, spreading the music.
Where should people go? I did see on Spotify, I saw an ad for, I don't know if it's an ad, but it's like when I followed you guys, there was a section that like took me to merchandise. It took me to like,
oh yeah.
That's their Linktree that they had.
Oh, Linktree. That's what it was.
On Spotify, it's like it's an integration with Shopify, which like, dude, like I'm gonna tell you, if you guys like want to start a band, like getting all this stuff together to like kind of have it like half legit is crazy. Like figuring out the Spotify integrations was wild. Like figuring out how to do Shopify and like the other one, like the Song Kick, like that has like your shows like put on it. You know, like how I was saying, like Relate's a German band. Well, like they were the ones that it looked like they were playing in Denver, Colorado for a while.
Okay,
you know, like
gotcha,
I had to hit up the company. But yeah, it's Spotify. Spotify is where like 85% of music is listened to. So it's there, or Apple Music.
85% Spotify? I didn't know it was that high.
Oh no, yeah, dude. Spotify has a chokehold on everything. Like it went from being
How recently is this? It feels like
It's been a while, Dollar.
they've had that much. I always thought Apple Music was bigger, not bigger than them, but like a bigger chunk.
Well, Apple Music has like they have a higher audio quality, but the UI is not as good. And like that's kind of what it boils down to. And like Spotify is cheaper, and you can use it on an Android.
Yep.
Right.
So like that became kind of the big
right.
thing. But I mean, Spotify has just leaned into this. Like those dudes own the industry right now, and I think they will for the foreseeable future, which is it's cool. But you know, it's weird. It's really weird to see, because like we have like a profile where like we can go on and look at who's listening to us right now. Like not exactly who, but like how many people are listening to us.
Yep.
Yeah.
We can see the names of playlists that we're on.
Oh yeah.
That is funny. Like to like, you know,
to see some of the playlists you're on.
That makes me uncomfortable sometimes. But oh man.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we got deep dive like into like what where we were listening to, what people were listening to us. Like a long time ago, like there's people like South Korea. There's like tons of people listening to us in South Korea. There's people listening to us in Malaysia, like just different countries.
So random, dude.
Yeah, just so random. And we'd look at each other like, do you know anybody in South Korea? Like, oh no, I don't know.
No.
Like, oh, okay.
And that funny thing that you mentioned that too, because it's constantly changing. But I remember when we first started the podcast, the audio part was, you know, easy peasy. Podcasts are super simple.
Yeah.
But when it came to like distribution,
Oh my gosh.
it was like figuring out. Back then, we used to have to put it everywhere individually.
Yeah, so back in the day, it wasn't easy as it is now. You couldn't just put your RSS feed and it'll link out to just go out to everywhere, right? No, you had to put it on every platform. There was like Stitcher, Podbean,
And they were all a pain in the
like
ass. Like
Blueberry,
every
like
single
all
one had-
these things. Like you had to upload everything, your individual links, just to put it on there and to link it up to get it successful. And then like iTunes was so it was iTunes back then, was a different animal. Like you had to be a certain format for them. The picture had to be a certain dimension for you to put it on there. They were like, Apple was just the most difficult one out of all of them. And when you mentioned like, you know, saying, you know, the UI is good, you know, isn't as good as an Apple, Android does have a lot of that market where Amazon, right? You're listening to on an Echo, you're listening to all this, and Apple and Amazon don't really click together. And so you can be like, open on Spotify, and so on and so forth. My thing's going to listen to me now. And it opens something on Spotify. But yeah, I mean, it's like, just nowadays, it's just easy just to put it on.
God, it's so easy now.
Out in the world.
Oh, yeah. You went to school for licensing, dude. Like, I mean, now it is crazy. Like, do you guys use like a distributor, like a certain one for podcasts? I don't know how podcasts work.
Podcasts, all you really have to do is you have to have an RSS feed. So you can use like something like Libsyn or something like that just is a home for your RSS feed, and then you can distribute in different ways. But we do ours through Squarespace. Okay. So we put it out, and then everything kind of comes out in one place, which we found, we didn't know this, we've been doing Squarespace forever, and we recently introduced the video side of things. Yep. And so found out that was kind of it doesn't work for Squarespace. They don't do well with video stuff, so we do it separately. We have to like go to Spotify and put the video on there.
Which is nice because like in recent, like Spotify didn't even have that option.
Wait, Spotify has video now?
Spotify has video for podcasts, yeah. So you will be on Spotify on the podcast here.
That's wild, man. Like, God, I feel like it's every day they're like kind of becoming a little bit more than music, right? Like it's like, wow, that's crazy.
Yep.
I mean, it's a genius company, man. Like,
yeah,
they changed the world. There's a great documentary on them on Netflix if you guys haven't seen. Well, it's like a drama documentary or dramatization, like where it's actually, I think it's in Swedish, but it's been dubbed English, and like kind of goes over like all of the founding members of Spotify's roles and everything, and like it's really interesting.
Well, just to see how fast they've grown. I mean, like, remember when it was Pandora, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. My wife is a holdout.
Is she?
She was also a BlackBerry holdout back in the day.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Same thing. She still has her.
Yeah, Pandora. Like Pandora for a while, right? And then all of a sudden Spotify just got big.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's funny. I didn't use Spotify until this year. I always had it. I had it for like making
so
playlists.
Many people, I think.
That's me because my wife was, and just like everybody else, like the end of the year collaboration, and like everyone's always like, well, what was your end of the year? What was your end of the year? What did you do at the end of year? And for a long time, like I listened to all my music on YouTube, like YouTube Music, stuff like that, like Amazon Music.
Right.
And so my wife was like, I'm putting you on my premium account. You have to now you have to tell me what your end of the year is.
She wanted to know. Yeah. That was shocking for me this year because I'm new to Spotify too. Same thing. It was like just recently. I feel like a lot of people are using Spotify now. But mine was shocking because it's more for me because I've listened so recently only. It was just like a snapshot.
Yep.
And so for me it was like, remember it was all country. It was like country music, and I was like, wait, what? What the hell? I didn't even understand. But it was just because I'd been listening to so much of that since I started on Spotify. I love a giant variety of music.
Oh, I love country. Like,
sweet.
See, this is so funny. Like, I work in a bar, and I was at work all day today, just like singing that Zach Brown Band song, Chicken Fried.
Yeah.
Like little chicken fried. Yeah, dude. Like, like I was saying, man, a good song's a good song.
Yes, sir.
And I really think that any music listener that is like, they're just being like, oh, I listen to anything but country, especially the people that I hear so many people being like, oh, I like country, but like only the old stuff. I'm like, no, you are missing it, man. You are missing the boat. Pop country, best songwriting, best musicianship.
Great. Yeah.
Those dudes have the budget for the studio music. Dude, it's incredible. I love like Sam Hunt, Luke Combs. Like,
oh, hell yeah.
So that's why my wife loves Sam Hunt, but I'm more of a old school country. I like Alan Jackson. I like my George Strait. I like all my Hank Williams. I like all those older ones.
Well, I think that like the commonality like in country is that like they're telling a story, man.
Oh yeah. Yep. And that's the thing. I love that like you were saying, like the songwriting, the storytelling in those is just. I mean, I think somebody can relate to something in a country song.
Yeah.
Any point in time in their life.
Yeah, I love that attitude too, and it feels like because. Probably you too, but definitely us, bro. Like growing up, because genres were separated by radio like stations, different radio stations, and so it was always this separate thing. But like teaching middle school, I see these kids listen to everything, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got like Mexican music. They're listening to country. They've got rap going. It's just like whatever. And I think more than ever, like from people who listen to music and consume music, there's less separation for most people of like, oh, I only listen to this style, or these are my two styles, but I definitely don't listen to that or whatever. It's just like you said, man, a good song is a good song nowadays. I feel like
that's like my workout playlist is like ridiculous. I've told you that before.
Yeah.
I have everything on there from
I love that you play everything.
Venga Boys. I have Venga Boys on there from some Euro trance all the way to like Static X, you know, to different stuff.
What year were you guys born in?
I was born in 79.
82.
79?
82.
Man, I was pegging you both for like late 80s.
Oh, let's go. I like this guy. Yeah.
All right.
You're doing something right there. Pierce.
No, you know, like when I was growing up, like we had the iPod. I think I had an MP3 player first, but I was very limited to whatever I could like borrow from the library, rip onto Rhapsody, and then load up on the MP3 player. And you only had like 256 megabytes. So it's like, man, I was listening to American Idiot a lot. Like, and only the first half.
Oh, sorry, that is crazy loud. Let me pull that down a little bit. Dude, thanks for coming on the show, Duncan. Really appreciate it. We'll have to do it again. Maybe bring back a couple band members or something.
That'd be sick.
Anytime you got something coming out, come see us and we'll
but tell the people again where we can get you at your next shows.
Oh, we're going to be in the Colorado Springs May 29th, and then we're playing the Marquee in Denver on May 27th. I mean, I said that backwards chronologically, but those are the dates.
But yeah, look them up. It's relate. Periods. And,
don't forget the period.
Yeah, and you can find them out and again go to their link tree. And like I said, like the man said, buy a shirt.
Hell yeah.
And with that $1, it is a wrap. Cheers.
Cheers.